Welcome back once again to the Sporty Friend. I'm Danny Bellamy, and if it's your first time here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. I noticed how much you love the episode about how the women's football club business work, and I think it's not just because of the subject, which is football, also because women's football is quickly becoming the most popular sport in the world. So I'm not surprised that you're curious and you want to know a little bit more, which is why I made this episode specially for you, the new foodie lover. Women's football isn't growing anymore. It's exploding, expanding to new horizons. I mean, we're talking about sold out stadiums over and over again, bigger and bigger TV deals, and more girls than ever are choosing football as their sport. And honestly, the more we share these stories, the more access people have, and the easier it becomes to create role models for future female leaders. But how many of you are noticing this boom and still feel completely lost on what to watch, where to watch it, like which leagues, where are all these superstars playing? Well, don't worry, because you got your sporty friend to break it all down for you. Today we're going through the biggest women's football leagues on the planet, continent by continent, so you know exactly what to watch and why. So here's your guide to the women's football league world. Starting off with Europe, the powerhouse. Europe is where women's football club is currently the strongest, the most competitive, and the most visible. Who better to represent it but England with the Women's Super League? So we're gonna start there. If you're starting anywhere, you have to start here. The Women's Super League has massive clubs, massive names, and almost every men's club has a women's side, which makes it easier to choose a club, basically. You got Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United, you name it. Plus, they also have London City Lionesses, the only Women's Super League team not attached to a men's club. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to know what the women's football vision looks like, the Women's Super League is your league. Spain with La Liga F, home of FC Barcelona Femenil, probably the best women's club in the world right now. And if you want technical, beautiful football, this is the league for you. France with D1 Arkema, historically Europe's most dominant league. Home of Olympic Lioness, the OG powerhouse of women's football. I must say that this league, I don't know what happened, but it didn't become fully professional until like 2022. So there's a big gap, and I think that's the reason why Olympic Lioness was so dominant. But if you want to watch OG women's football teams, this is the league. Italy with Serie A Femminile, fully professional and climbing fast. Clubs like Juventus and FC Como are investing heavily in the women's game. So this is definitely a league to watch if you like beautiful football. Germany, Frauen-Bundesliga, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but yeah, you will notice that most of the leagues have the same name as the men's, but with an F thrown here and there. So in Germany's A classic, of course, to expect it from Germany, structured, competitive, and outstanding for youth development. Even though Europe might have arrived late to investment in women's football, but when they did, they went all in. And by late, I mean 2019, I think. So it proves how we can make a big change in such a short period of time. So if you're new to women's football, Europe is probably the easiest to follow weekly. And plus, you get the Champions League, so that's pretty iconic. Let's go to the other side of the world, the Americas, the birth of the modern game. So we gotta start with the USA National Women's Soccer League, the OG of women's football. From early grassroots programs to dominating the world championships, the US fundamentally shaped the modern women's game. You can say that. The National Women's Soccer League is the most competitive league in the world. Why? Well, because there are no super clubs, you can say that. Like no Barca domination, no Lyon 14-year streak. Every season looks different, and I think that's what makes it super fun. And about the style, some people might say it's chaotic, has a lot of speed, is very physical, end-to-end football basically. So if you love football that is unpredictable, this is your league. Down south, Mexico with Liga MX Femenil, one of the most exciting atmospheres in the football world. This one's a special case, at least from my point of view, because as soon as it came out, the fans embraced the league instantly. Proof that women were so ready for professional football. One thing that is different from men's football professional journey, the clubs for women are investing more in youth programs, and it's making it more clear for girls to know the path to professionalizing their dreams, which I think is really cool. So from the grassroots, from the academies, the path is basically marked for them to know where they're going. Unfortunately, it's not the same for men, even though it's bigger and more investment. I don't know why. If you know, let me know, because I'm actually curious about it. So for this league, expect huge stadiums filled for women's matches, a wave of European signings, and strong local talent rising fast. Brazil, Brasileirão Feminino. Technical, creative, full of flair, and they're getting ready to host the Women's World Cup. So I think this could be a great league to follow as a World Cup warm-up, let's say. America's got some of the loudest atmospheres in the women's world. If you like joy, chaos, skills, this is it. This is the continent to follow any of the leagues. Australia, Asia, Pacific. We're gonna call it the rising region. And let's start with Australia, with the A-League women. So what happened after they host the 2023 Women's World Cup? Well, an explosion of interest for women's football from young girls. It was insane. They saw full stadiums and they saw dreams becoming reality. So the demand was crazy right after the World Cup. The clubs suddenly had like waiting list of girls waiting to join, and even new girls-only clubs started opening just to meet the demand. This is the perfect example to know the importance of giving World Cups and women's role models a platform for young girls to watch. So this will be a perfect league for you to know young talents that they're probably gonna shine in the next World Cup. Maybe you will find the next Sam Kerr. All right, Japan, WE League. Super technical, super tactical, super clean football. And that's to expect from the Japanese. They also have a youth system that is super elite. They always perform at World Cups, and they usually have really cool jerseys. So maybe this could be a rogue move of league for you to watch. And China with Women's Super League. Yeah, that name might ring a bell. They have big investment plus big ambitions. So China is investing a lot in women's football. I would even dare to say that if it's not for the 2027 upcoming World Cup, it will be the team to look out for, because they are investing in their youth programs like no one else is doing it. And I'm talking about money. So it's a region that is scaling fast. If you love discovering talent before anyone else, I think this is your continent. And last but not least, Africa, the future powerhouse. So Africa has the highest ceiling in women's game. For example, Nigeria produces world-class players every single year. If you watch any of the leagues in the world, you will probably see a Nigerian player, which is outstanding considering the situation in Nigeria for young girls. The league in Nigeria is called NWSL Premiership. It's a growing league with serious talent, so I think it's worth having a look every now and then. Same for South Africa. The league is called Hollywood Bet Super League. It's competitive and growing with new investment. I wouldn't say it's growing as fast in other parts in Africa, but it's growing. So I think it's worth having a look. And last but not least, Morocco. And in Morocco, the league is called Botola Pro Dams. Maybe it's pronounced in French, I don't know. Please correct me in the comments. This one's an interesting to talk about because they have huge federation support, and many of the leagues develop after their World Cup success. So the development process will go like strong national team, good performance at World Cups, become national heroes, and bring the stories back to the country, followed by sponsors. And once these ladies have the power leagues emerge. This is kind of how I see the pattern happening. So huge potential for Morocco's women's national team. If you want raw, fast, explosive football, Africa is where the next big generation is coming from, and I will suggest to maybe have a look on that one too. Saying all these, you might be now wondering, where should I start? Because Danny, you just gave me like a million leagues and I'm not even telling you, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Do you need to watch everything to say that you support women's sports? No. Do you need to know every single league? Absolutely not. Nobody does. I would say just start watching. The point is to enjoy it, right? So try a few games from different leagues, follow maybe a couple of players that you might think you can fall in love with, and find a club that resonates with your values. Because one thing I've noticed about women's football, I wouldn't even say women's sports, but particularly in the women's game, it's not just about football, it's about values and what they represent in society, basically. Women's football isn't one league, one country, or one story anymore. It's now global, and it's actually changing the world. It's changing how young men and young boys are seeing women. So I think the best time to start watching it's now. And I know I'm not covering every single league, so please, please, please leave in the comments to share with us all the ones that I missed and why is it fun to follow it. Remember to subscribe if you'd like to watch more content like this, so you can also become the sporty friend of your group of friends. I'm Danny Bellamy, your sporty friend, and I'll see you next time.